So welcome everybody to this session. My name is Roslyn. I am a librarian at Curtin Library, and today we'll be going through EndNote 21 Essentials, how to get you up and running with the software. This session is being recorded and will be distributed to everybody that has registered for the session. If you have any questions as we're going along, please feel free to pop them into the chat. Joining me today is my colleague Sarah, and she will be monitoring the chat and putting in some links and sort of answering questions if she can, or alerting me if there are some questions for me to answer. Today I'm joining you from the lands of the Whadjuk Noongar people, and I'd like to pay my respects to their elders past and present as custodians and owners of these lands. Before we get too far into the session, I just wanted to let you know that the EndNote desktop software, which is what I will be demonstrating today, is freely available for Curtin staff and students that are based within Australia to download to a personal computer. You can download this from the My Library tab in Student Oasis, or if you're a staff member, by going to the My Campus menu and Library Services in the staff portal. If you are studying at one of our overseas campuses, you won't be able to download the EndNote program unless you're actually in Australia. But if you check with your campus library, they'll be able to give you options that are available to you. So just an introduction to what is EndNote. Basically, EndNote is a reference management software that allows you to collect and organize and store all your references in one place. And it also allows you to create in-text citations and reference lists in Microsoft Word. It's a very useful software, particularly if you are embarking on a research project and you'll be gathering large numbers of references. So this is what I will be covering in the session today. Firstly, we'll be talking about how to create an EndNote library and add references to your library. I'll be showing you how to select a referencing style and then preview and edit your references, how to add attachments, and I'll be giving you some information about EndNote Click. Then we'll look at how you can organize your references using the groups function, how to work with Microsoft Word. I'll be talking a bit about saving your library and the library syncing option that's available, and giving you information about where you can get help with EndNote. So just a note, as we're going along, if you do have questions, please do feel free to pop them into the chat. But be aware that I can't troubleshoot individual issues with your computer during the session. If you do have a specific question about your computer or something that's not quite right with EndNote, you can get in contact with us outside of the session, and we can help you out with that. Okay, I'm just going to share my screen now. And I'm going to show you our EndNote guide. And how to get access to that. So we have a guide, an EndNote Essentials guide. This goes through everything that I will be demonstrating to you today, and there's a lot of other information there as well that's going to be useful. So if you do want to refresh, or after the session you're not sure about something that I've said, if you go and have a look at the guide, all that information will be there. So I've just gone to the library website, and so you can just Google Curtin Library or www.curtin.edu.au/library to open the library website. And I'll scroll down a little bit to this middle section, and there is a Uni-Skills link here. And if you open that, it goes to our Uni-Skills guides. And under digital, you can access the EndNote Essentials guide. So as I said, it just covers everything that I'll be talking to you about today and a lot of extra information. So refer back to this if you do need help after the session. I will also be just pointing out a few things as we go along, so you're so you're aware of things that are available here as well. Okay. Oops. Sorry, my mouse has gone a bit funny there. So I'm just going to go now and open to the EndNote software. So once you have downloaded the EndNote software, you'll be able to sort of open it on your computer. If you're on a Windows PC, you can just go to the menu and search for it, or it should be there under EndNote. But when you first open EndNote, you'll be prompted to set up an EndNote library. So the library is the file where you're going to save all of your references. Okay. If you're on a Windows PC, you may get a message that looks like this, or you should get a message that looks like this, where it says set up EndNote library. And you can open existing library if you already have one, or you can create a new library. If you are on a Mac computer, you may get something slightly different. So you may get an EndNote toolbar across the top of your screen, and then you'll just need to go to File and New to create a new library. It depends, I think, on the version of EndNote that you have. Sorry, the version, the OS that you have on your Mac, and some of them I have seen will come up with this message, but other, usually it's just a toolbar across the top, which gets a bit confusing, but it'll say EndNote, you just do File and New. So I'm going to create a new library for today. And I'm going to save it onto my desktop. And it's quite important when you do create your library that you save it onto your actual computer. So don't save your library into a cloud syncing folder like OneDrive, Google Drives, or anything like that. If you do that, then it can corrupt the library over time and make it difficult to work with. So try and save your library to your actual computer, to your C drive, your desktop, your documents, etc. Always save it there. By default, the name of the library will be My EndNote Library. You can change that if you want. I'm just calling mine Test Library today because I'm not going to keep it after this, but you can change the name if you want to there. So I've selected the desktop and I'm going to save. And once I do that, it will open the EndNote program. So I'll see all of these different panels. Just before I go into that though, I'm just going to quickly show you, if I can find it. When you do create your library, you'll get two things. So you'll get a .enl, which is an EndNote library, which is the EndNote library extension. So that's so you can open your library. You'll also get a .data file. So it's important that these two stay together in the same location with the same name, because if you delete your data file, you don't have any data for your library, and you won't be able to use it. Or and if you delete your EndNote library, you can sort of restore it from a data file, but that's very complicated. So just keep those together in the same place with the same name. So now I've just opened the EndNote library, and you'll get a few different panels when you open the library. This left-hand panel is called the Groups panel, and that's sort of the default groups that are used for organizing your references. I'll also be showing you how you can create your own groups. The middle sort of section here is your library, so all the references that are in your library. And once you start adding references, there'll be another panel on the right, which allows you to select a specific reference, and then you can see all the details and edit that. The first thing that I'm going to show you is how to add references to your library. There's a few different ways that you can do this. The first way that I'm going to show you is by manually entering the references yourself. There are some reference types where you will need to do this. Hopefully you won't need to do it very often, but if you have like a print book, or you're referencing a website or a report, and there's no option to sort of send the information to EndNote, then you will have to create that reference manually. The other way of adding the information is by direct export from a library database, and I'll show you that in a minute. So to start off with, I'm going to add a manual reference, and in this sort of all references tab here, just above those links, there's some links here, and there's one that is a clipboard with a plus sign in it. And if I click on that, it brings up an empty form that I can fill out with the details of the source that I'm using. I can also go to references and new reference. There's a few different ways of sort of opening this form. By default, the reference type that is selected will be journal article, but you can change this. If you click the drop down arrow, you can see a whole list of different types of references that you can select from. I'm going to change this to the book reference type to start off with. And when I do that, it actually changes some of the fields. So just according to what I will need for that particular reference type. So I've got some book reference here that I'm going to start entering the details into the form. So I've started by including the author's names here. There's some things to just note when you are entering the authors. The first thing you'll notice that I've got their last name first, a comma, and then their first name. This is just the way that EndNote recommends entering the author's names. Just makes it a little bit easier when you're organizing your references, but it's up to you how you want to enter them. If you want to do first name, last name, you can do that as well. I need, because this source has more than one author, I've put each author onto a different line. If I put them all onto the same line, EndNote will think that it is one author and it will not look correct in your reference, in your references. So just make sure each new author goes onto a new line. Another thing to note is that I've put the correct capitalization in, and it's important that you do that so EndNote will display the authors correctly. If you enter them all in lowercase, that is how they will appear in the reference, and that may not be correct. So just make sure you are using the correct capitalization as well. So, oops. Okay. So I've got, I can just fill out the rest of the information that I have for that reference. So I'll just quickly do that. So the year is 2016. The title is this. Again, you'll notice here I've included the correct capitalization and I've put it's in sort of sentence style capitalization. So if you're using a style like Chicago, where each significant word will start with a capital letter, then once you select the style, it will do that for you, so you don't need to worry. But if you are using APA, the style is set up so it will display as entered in the title field. So if you put it all in uppercase letters, that's how it's going to display. So it's good if you get into the habit of just putting in that correct capitalization. If there is a style thing like Chicago, it will do that for you, but otherwise, yeah, just make sure you're using that correct capitalization. So I've just entered all of that information that I have available. Because it's a print book, I'm not going to put in a URL or anything. Once I've entered all of the information that I need, I will come up here and save this record. And when I close out of the record, it's been added here to my EndNote library. If I double click, it will open that the tabs panel, and I'll be able to see the information about it here. And I can just click the arrow down in this bottom section, and that will move this part up, and it will give me, if I might just make that a little bit smaller, it will give me a preview of what that reference looks like. I will be showing you in a minute how you can select a style. I'm just going to show you one other manual entry, which, so again, I'm just coming up here to the add a new reference icon and clicking that to open the form. This time I'm going to be showing you a web page. So right down the bottom, I've changed that to the web page reference type. And this time I'm going to enter the information but this time I've got an organization as the author. So this is a little bit different because you don't want the name to be inverted, so display as like a last name and then first name. You want the reference to show the full name. So to do this, you just need to make sure that you place a comma at the end of the name. This tells the database, this tells EndNote to display the full name in the reference. If you don't do that, it's going to invert it because it will think that it is a person, not an actual organization. And again, I'm just going to fill out the rest of the information that I have. Just quickly do that. And the URL. Just scroll down. The URL field is quite far down in the record. I don't know why they put it so far down. You will see that there are a lot of fields here, but you only need to fill in the ones that are required to create the reference for your style. So I'm just going to do click on Save again and close that, and now that reference has been added here. And just popping back to the EndNote Essentials guide, just to show you on the Add and Organize References page, there's a section called Manual Entry, which just explains what I've just shown you. But if you scroll down a little further, if you're using the curtain styles for APA, Chicago 17th or Vancouver, and I'll show you how to select these in just a minute, but we have these tables which just tell you what reference type to select and the fields that you need to populate to create the reference. So some of them are fairly standard and you can probably work out which fields you need and what type of reference, but there's other ones where there's slight differences, but this just goes through and explains which fields, and there's notes if there is something extra that you will need to do. So if you are doing your manual entry, keep that in mind. It will help you out with knowing which fields to populate and what reference type to select. So back in my EndNote library, now that I've added some references and I've got my tabs panel coming up here, I can change the style that I want to do the references in. By default, the annotated style will be selected. But if you do the drop-down menu, there's a range of other styles available here as well. So these ones generally come with the EndNote program, so they may not be official. You would need to check that they are correct for what you're doing. We do have, though, curtain-specific styles that I mentioned before, and you can, if you go to the Select Another Style link at the top, this opens a broader list of styles that you can select from, and the curtain ones will be included here. So, for example, the APA 7th curtain. So I can highlight that and then do Choose. And when I do that, it will change and display the reference in that style. I think someone just had a question about how to get this panel. If you can't see it, just double click on the reference and it should open that panel. And this section here, you'll see sort of down the bottom, there'll be a little arrow and you can expand it. So hopefully that answers the question. I'm just going to quickly select some other styles as well. So we've also got the Chicago 17th author date curtain, and I'll choose that, and then you can see how that reference looks in that style as well. And we do have the Vancouver curtain style. So very quick and easy to select those styles, and straight away you can see how that works. I think is there a question about Chicago 18th? So we don't have a curtain style for Chicago 18th, but there is one available that you should be able to download from the EndNote website, and I can provide some more information about that later. Okay, so now we've sort of started our library. We've got a few manual references that we've added. We've been able to select a style, a specific style. There's a whole range of other styles available there as well. But now I'm going to show you how you can add references or add the information about the reference from a database. This will be the main way that you do work with EndNote and get the information in, rather than just sort of manually typing out all of those references. You should be able to do a few clicks and get the information directly sent into EndNote. So I've just gone back here to the library website again, and just next to the Uniskills link that we went to before, there is a databases link here, and I'm going to open that one to our databases A to Z list. A lot of our databases will let you export the information about the articles into EndNote, but they're all a little bit different. So if you go in and you're not sure sort of how to do it, or if that feature is available, just have a look at the help menu in the specific database, and that will usually tell you if it's available and how you can do the direct export to EndNote. I'm going to show you the ProQuest database first. So ProQuest is a large multidisciplinary database, and it's a very useful one when you're doing your research and getting started with finding articles. I'm going to do a very quick search for my topic, so sustainable tourism, and just to make it a bit easier, I'm going to change this option to anywhere except full text, and I'm just going to look for peer-reviewed articles and run my search. So I've come up with quite a large number of results. That's just the way things go with EndNote, ProQuest. But what I'm going to do is, if I scroll through my results, I can see there's some really useful resources. So I'm just going to tick the box that appears next to those articles. So I'll select a few here. And once I've done that, I can just come up to the top here, and I get a few different icons appearing above the search results. and there's one that has 3 dots in this circle, and when you hover over it, it will say all save and export options. Usually when you're in the database, you're looking out for terminology that's like download citations, send to citation manager, something along export options, something along those lines usually means that you can send the information to EndNote. When I click those, that 3 dots, I get a number of different options here under citation export. And there is an EndNote option, so I can select that. If you do go into a database and you find there's no EndNote option, but there is an RIS option, RIS is the file format that EndNote uses, so you can select that instead if there's no EndNote option.
Sorry, Roz, just to confirm, we've got a question in the chat. International students outside of Australia's campuses, they can use EndNote online but not desktop, right?
Yeah, so they need to check, if you go and check with your campus library, they will, they may have EndNote available for you. Otherwise, they'll be able to give you options of what you can use. Okay, so I'm just going to click EndNote. And if I'll just scroll down here and do continue, it will create a download file for me. Depending on your browser, it may pop up here in your downloads, or it might be across the bottom. If you're on a Mac, it may go into your downloads folder on your computer. So you just need to go into that folder and drag and drop the file onto the EndNote icon on your dock, and it should add those references to your EndNote library. Sometimes it will just automatically export when you're on a Mac, but other times you will have to just go and find that download file, drag and drop it onto the EndNote icon on your dock. So this one, I'm just going to open that file. Don't know that. Oh yeah, it's doing it, and it's just gone back into EndNote and it's added all of those references there. Okay, so rather than me having to type out all those references and all that information, it's just automatically imported that into my EndNote library. I'm going to show you another database. Okay, oops, just back here, just so you can see that it changes a little bit between the databases. So I'm going to show you the Science Direct database. Again, I'm just going to do a quick search for my topic. And I've come up with a number of articles that match what I need. So I'm just going to, again, like I did in ProQuest, I'm just ticking that box next to the articles, or selecting that box next to the articles that I want to send the information to EndNote. And at the top above the search results, there's an option here that says export. So you're always looking out for things like export or download, send to citation manager, terminology along those lines. If I click that, you'll notice there's no EndNote option. Okay, but there is an RIS option. So if there's no EndNote option, do the RIS, which is the file format that is used by EndNote. And again, it generates a file, which I can just click the open file. If I'm on a Mac, I would have to go to my downloads and drag and drop it onto the EndNote icon on my dock. But I'm just going to open that file, and it's added those references in there. So that's great. You'll notice when you do start adding or exporting references to EndNote, they go into this temporary file called imported references. As soon as you import more, they will overwrite the references that are in that file. But if you select all references, you'll see all of those references that I've added, as well as those my manual entry references as well. Okay, so anytime you want to look at all the references, just click on all references. Imported references is just a temporary file. As you are adding as you're adding your references or exporting the references over from a database, it's useful to just have a quick look through the references and make sure that the information is correct and it matches what is required for your style. EndNote is not going to do your referencing 100% correct the whole every time. There will be some things where you will need to edit the references so they match up with what is required for your style. So it's useful if you do have the your relevant style guide, referencing guide open, and just compare and make sure they are doing what they're supposed to be doing. Here I'll just quickly change the style. So there's a few things to note. One of them is when you're exporting from some databases, if the usually if the online resource has a DOI, so DOI is a digital object identifier. It's just a unique code that is linked to the article or the book or whatever, so people can find it in the online environment. And styles like APA and Chicago require that you use a resolved DOI, which means you include https://doi.org/ before the DOI. The DOI always starts with the number 10. But some databases will include that HTTPS string when you export the information over, but it's also written into the style. So you end up with that HTTP string being duplicated, like you can see here, and that's not correct, and it's not what you want for your reference. So if I come up to the tab here, next to the summary tab, there is an edit tab. And this is where I can go in and make changes to the reference. So in the DOI field, I've just put my cursor in there. And I'm going to use my arrow keys on my keyboard and then backspace and take out everything that appears before that number 10. So I just want the DOI, the actual number, in there. I don't want that HTTPS string. And when I click save and go back to the summary, now it's displaying that correctly, just with HTTPS string once. It shouldn't do that for every database, but there are some databases where that does happen. So you will have to go through and make some manual edits there. Something else to be aware of is, for example, I mentioned before, APA uses sentence style capitalization for the title, like the article title, but some database when you're exporting from some databases, they may have different capitalization used in the reference, so you will have to change this as well so it matches with what is required for your style. So if I go back to the edit, and I can just click into the title field and change it myself. But there is, if I highlight that title and go to edit, the edit menu that appears at the top of EndNote, and then change case, it's got different capitalization, and I'm going to change that to sentence case and save, and now that title is appearing correctly for APA. You do need to be a little bit careful if you do use that change case option for the sentence case, because if there are proper names in the title, so names of the, places or people or things, it won't be able to distinguish them. So you will need to make sure that you don't inadvertently change a proper name to lowercase letters. Just going to see if I can find, there's one other thing. Okay. So one other thing that can happen, this is mostly to do with ProQuest. Where there's no DOI for an article, it will substitute a URL instead. But if you've got an article and it's come from ProQuest, it tends to put in 2 links. So it has a nice short one that's going to be okay to use in your reference. But then it has a second link, which is a very long URL and not very nice and not something you want in your reference list. So just keep an eye out for that. Mostly you're probably going to get articles with DOIs, but you may come across this where it's got these horrible long URLs. So if you go to the Edit tab and scroll down, so you'll see the first link here, the nice short link, but then you just need to, if you highlight that second link, the long one, and just backspace, and just take out the extra space if there is one, and save. Now you've got a nice short link that's not going to make your reference list sort of long and unwieldy. But as I said, it's usually ProQuest that does that, and just have a quick look through. And if you do come across those duplicated links, then take out that second one. Okay, so now we've started putting our library of references together. One thing that is really useful with using EndNote to manage all of your references is that you can also store the articles, the full text of the articles in EndNote as well. So you can attach those files to the references. Then you've got everything in one place, and you don't have bits and pieces saved in different files and folders on your computer. You can streamline your research and just access them in one place. So sometimes the database will sort of attach the article, which is useful, but a lot of the time the database, when you send the information over, it won't actually include the full text article. But if it doesn't, you can just go to the database. and save that. Just open the PDF and then just save it, or send it to your downloads, download the article. And then back in EndNote, you can select the reference. And if you come up to PDF here and attach PDF, you just need to find where that is. See if I can find, no. There we go, downloads. Select the article PDF and open, and I'll click off that just so it prompts it to save the changes, so save that PDF. And when I go back, the PDF is attached there, so I can access that PDF. If I go to the PDF pane here, I can see that PDF. I can also pop it out into its own window if I want to read it. And there's some things I can do here. So I can, where this sort of speech bubble icon is, there's a markup / annotation, and I can add notes. So use this for my introduction. Whatever you want to note about the article. You can also highlight text. So I highlight that. And when I close out of this, it will save those changes. And I can, so I've got all of that information saved there, so I don't, I can sort of manage all of my research in one place. Okay, so if I close that, it's just going to go yes, and save. And now if I go back to that PDF, you can see that my notes are there and the highlighting. So just a useful way of managing those references. One last thing I wanted to show you before we move on is groups function in EndNote. We recommend when you do create a library, try and just work with one library if you can. If you start creating multiple libraries for different projects, it can be very confusing when you're working with Word, which library your references are coming from. EndNote gets confused, Word gets confused. And it's a lot easier if you just maintain the one library and you can streamline all your research in one place. At the moment, I've only got 13 references in my library, so it's not that difficult for me to find the ones that I'm interested in or the ones that I want to use. But as you start adding more and more and more references to your library, you'll find that it becomes a bit more difficult to pick out what you actually need and to quickly get to the research that you want to find. So you can use the groups function to organize all of those references. I can create a group. If I right click on my groups in the groups panel on the left hand side, I can create a group here, and I can name that group anything I want. So maybe I have one for community tourism, so I've just named it community. Once I've created that group, I can move sort of references. I can just drag and drop them from the all references into the group, or I can right click on them and then add references to and select the group that I want them to go into. So do that. If I want maybe another group, I can create multiple groups. I don't think there's, I think you can create like hundreds of groups if you needed to. I don't know that you would. That didn't work. I'll just so I've got a few groups there. If you have related groups, so ones that are around the same topic, you can also create a group set. And this is a way of organizing those groups so they sit together. So if I have tourism as my overarching group set, I can just, oops, move those under there. And now I've got a tourism group, and then I can select either community or sustainable. You can add as many references as you like to the groups. You can add the same reference to multiple groups if you need to. And if you want to remove a reference from a group, you can right click and remove references from group, and it will take it out of the group, but it will still be in your all references. Okay. So that's just an easy way of organizing your research. Makes it a little bit easier to go and find the references that you need when you do start to get large numbers of references. My own current library has about 800 or 900 references in it. So you can imagine if I had to scroll through that whole list to find the one reference that I need, it would be very annoying and take me ages. So I've got a whole lot of groups. I think I've got about 60 groups or something, and some group sets to organize all of that. Okay. So that's sort of using the EndNote side of things. And that is, so you can collect all of these references, you can store them in one place, you can store the PDFs as well, so that will be really useful for you. I'm just going to quickly, oops, jump back to the guide and just mention, if you go to the Attach PDFs tab, that explains what I've just shown you, but there's also some information there about EndNote Click. So this is a browser plugin that you can get to help you access full text PDF journal articles when you're doing your searching. You do have to register for an account to use EndNote Click, and there's instructions available there if you're interested in doing that. But basically, if you do install EndNote Click, you'll get a little pop-up that will appear if you're looking at an article where the PDF is available. You can click on that, add it to your EndNote Click locker, and then you can send it to EndNote, and it will create the reference for you and attach the PDF. So that's another useful way of getting PDFs. I think I've got it just up here. It also lets you sort of search Google Scholar and find PDFs and stuff. So yeah, that's available. I'm not going to go into it today, but there is all of that information about how to get that set up. Moving on to using EndNote with Word, I'm going to open a blank document here and just get some random text. So I have my sample assignment. When you install EndNote on your computer, it will also, just up here, it should also insert an EndNote toolbar in your Word. So just up here, you can see I've got EndNote 21. And this is what you will use to work with EndNote when you're in your Word document. I'm just going to quickly save this. Okay. So this is what you'll be using to work with EndNote. Sometimes you do install it, it may not come across straight in the first instance, you may not see it, but there's a lot of troubleshooting information, and I'll show you where you can find that information a bit later. So this is called the Cite While You Write toolbar. Just one thing to check before you start sort of putting in your references, just check that the style that is selected in the toolbar is the one that you want to use. It may occasionally, it defaults to annotated, back to that one that you get before you've selected a style. But you'll also, if you do that drop down, you'll see all of the styles that appear in that shorter menu that you've got. So if you want to use a different style, just select it there. To add references to your Word document, there's a few ways you can do this. The first way I'm going to show you is by going back to the EndNote program and selecting the reference there. So I put my cursor at the place in the text where I want my in-text citation to go. In the toolbar, I'll click on Go to EndNote. And this opens back to my EndNote library here. And I can select the reference that I want to insert. And just in that All References sort of panel here, next to the that manual entry icon, there's a quote mark icon. And when you hover over it, it will say Insert a Citation. So I can just click on that and it adds the in-text citation in the particular style to my Word document. And scrolling down, it's also added my, started my reference list at the end of the document. I'll show you that again. So I'm just going to place the cursor at the point in the text where I want my in-text citation to go. I'll go to EndNote, select the reference. I can also, if I hold down my Control or my Alt key, I can also select other, oops. Okay. So my Shift or my Control key, I can also select other multiple citations to go in at a single point if I want to. And I can click on the Insert Citation, the quote mark icon, and it will add those in there and format them in my chosen style. So this is sort of the fun bit of using EndNote, because it puts all of your citations in your reference list, and you don't have to worry about, well, how many authors are there? Do I need to do et al? All of that. It's going to do it for you. And further down, I've got my reference list there. Another way that you can add references is, again, by putting your cursor at the place in the text where you want the reference to go. And in the toolbar, the EndNote toolbar, just come up to Insert Citation and click on that. And this will come up with a search box where I can enter keywords from the title, or I can enter an author that I know is in my EndNote library, and it will come up with a list that matches that, and I can select from there as well. So if I do find, I can just select the reference and insert, and it will insert there. So if you know who the author is, or you know a word from the title, you can use that Insert Citation button there. And it's added it here into my reference list. So you'll notice when I do click on those citations that they are grayed out. So they've got this gray shading, and that means that your Word document is talking to EndNote. Okay. And if you want to make any changes to the in-text citations, you won't be able to just make the changes in the document here, because it's going to revert back to the information that's coming from EndNote. For example, if I maybe was quoting from this source, I need to include a page number that directs the reader to that quote. So if I try and just type it in, it's going to take it out. So I need to go to Edit and Manage Citations up here. So select, highlight the reference, Edit and Manage Citations. And then in the bottom sort of section of the box that appears, there is a Pages field. So maybe it's on page 12, I'll just put 12 in that Pages field and OK. And now it's added that page number in and formatted it how it's required for the APA style. So anytime you want to put in page numbers or make changes to your in-text citations, always do it in Edit and Manage Citations. Something else that you may want to do is you may want to use an author prominent citation, which means that you include the author's name in the text of your sentence. So, and you want the author's name to appear outside of those brackets. You don't want it to appear within the brackets. So what I can do here is, again, just select, highlight that reference, go to Edit and Manage Citations. And then in that bottom section, there's something here, there's formatting. If you do the drop down, you can change how that displays. So you can change it so it will display with the author outside of the brackets, so author and then year in brackets, and OK. And now it's displaying with the authors as part of the sentence. If you want to remove any citations, you're like, oh no, I don't need that one at that point. It's best not to just highlight and delete them. because there's a lot of coding that goes on in the background that you don't see, and it may end up with the formatting of your document going a bit funny, or the reference may appear again if it's not sort of taken out correctly. So again, if I wanted to remove a reference, I can just highlight it, come up to Edit and Manage Citations, and then in the top section of that box, there's a drop-down menu that says Edit Reference, and I can change that to remove the citation, and OK, and it will take that citation and reference list entry out of the document safely. So anytime you want to make changes to your in-text citation, always do that in that Edit and Manage Citations function in the toolbar. When I click onto the reference list as well, you may find that it is grayed out as well as the in-text citations because it's talking to EndNote. If you do need to make any changes to your reference list entries, you need to make those changes in EndNote. For example, here I've got this Shanipa reference.
Roz, we've lost your audio.
Yes.
Are you back with us, Roz?
Oh. Yes, I'm back. Hopefully.
Great.
Sorry. Sorry about that. Yeah, so here I've got this Shampa reference, and it's got the duplicated DOI statement. So if I go back to EndNote, I'll just find that reference here, go to the Edit tab, and scroll down and make those changes. So take out that, that HTTPS string and save that. And now that's correct. It's got the correct link. I'll go back to my Word document and do Update Citations and Bibliography in the toolbar, and that will bring over the changes that I made in EndNote. So now that is displaying correctly. So if I find any of these references where they do need to be edited, maybe the capitalization is incorrect, or it's got the duplicated DOI statement, or it's got a really long URL, I can go back into EndNote, make the changes, save them, and then update citations and bibliography, and it will update it in the document. So here I've got my reference list, and you'll notice I have references appearing above, sort of above that. So you can actually make some changes to your reference list, to the formatting, by going to the this bibliography section, and then there's a little, if you're on a Windows PC, there's like a little arrow in the corner, and if you click on that, you'll get this configure bibliography box, which lets you sort of change the options. I think if you're on a Mac, that will come under the Tools menu. So I can click on the Layout tab here, and I can change the font size. I can give my reference list a title, so references, for example. I can change the text format of that. I can do bold or a particular font or size, etc. I can also select the line spacing that I want. If you're doing APA uses double spacing within and between references. So I can select that, and then it will display that there. Sometimes this is better than sort of highlighting and doing the formatting within Word, because sometimes it can go a bit funny. So just a safe way of working with the formatting of the reference list. Once you've gone through and you've finished your document, it's sort of ready to go, and you're ready to submit your work. We recommend creating a plain text copy of the document that isn't talking to your EndNote library. So this is a second copy of the document. And just make sure that you don't run into any issues when you submit it, and there's no issues on the other end with formatting or anything like that. So here I can do convert citations and bibliography, so this drop-down menu, and do convert to plain text. I think this as well, if you're on a Mac, is under the Tools menu. So if I do convert to plain text, this just creates that second copy of the document. So this one's document 2. And you'll notice when I click on the citations that they're not graying out. So that means that it's not talking to my EndNote library at all. And I'm not going to run into issues with formatting or anything on the other end when I go to submit it. In this copy as well, you can make manual changes to the references if you need to. You don't need to worry about going back into EndNote and making those changes. They will stay. We recommend, though, if you do create a plain text copy that you submit to your submit your work, always keep the original copy. The original copy here, which is talking to EndNote, because if you do need to go back and make any changes to this, you can't reinstate the EndNote formatting in a plain text copy. So if you do need to go back and make any changes, you still have this EndNote copy that you can quickly go and update and then create a new plain text copy. So always keep the original with the EndNote formatting, but yeah, the plain text one is the one that you would that's best to when you're submitting your work. Yeah, so turn it in, if you're submitting to turn it in, I think it might actually change it to plain text anyway, but yeah, it's just a safer way of working with the files. Okay, so that is sort of an introduction to using EndNote with Word, the fun bit of EndNote. I'm going to, though, just pop back to EndNote and talk to you a bit about saving your EndNote library. So I mentioned before, it's best to save your working library onto your actual computer. Don't save it into a cloud syncing folder or anything like that, or a network drive, because it won't work properly, and it may end up becoming corrupted. So always save onto your computer. It's good, though, to have a backup copy of your library, just in case something does go wrong with your computer. So if you go to the File menu here, there's an option that says Save a Copy. Do not use this option. So when you do this, when you do save a copy, it actually creates another copy of your EndNote library and your data file. And in the past, we have had people come in and they are very confused because they've got my EndNote library, copy. They've got so many copies of their library, and we cannot work out which one is the one they're actually using. So avoid the save a copy option, just don't worry about that. The better option to use is compress library. So this will take your ENL, your EndNote library file, and your data folder and zip them together into one. And this is something that you can actually save. You can email it to yourself. You can save it in a cloud syncing folder because you're not actually going to be using it. It's just a backup in case things go wrong. So yeah, I can just do this one. I'm going to save to my desktop, but don't save it in the same location as your working library, because you'll if your computer stops working or something, you're going to lose that as well. Just to show you what it will look like though. So here, this is the compressed library. It's got that ENL with a little clamp icon. It's a .enlx, and it's taken both of those folders and put them into one. So save this somewhere else, USB, your email, a cloud folder, wherever, somewhere that's not on your computer. You won't be actually using this one. It's just there in case something goes wrong and you need to restore your library. Because once you start getting more and more references, you don't want to be trying to go back and recreate that whole library down the track. So as you are working with EndNote, EndNote saves the references as you're going along. So it's not like Word or PowerPoint or any of those other types of programs where you do have to keep saving your library because or save it when you close EndNote, because EndNote is just going to do that automatically. So you don't need to worry about saving. It's just creating that backup in case something goes wrong. We have instructions in the EndNote guide about saving your library and how to do that compressed library backup. There's also library syncing, which is useful. And we have information in one of our other guides about how to set up syncing. So if you want to use the sync function, you just need to create an EndNote Online account. And then it will synchronize your references between that account and your desktop library. So that's sort of another way that you can back up your references between your desktop library and your EndNote Online library. It also means that you can, if you're working on a computer at home and then you've got a computer at work, or you've got your laptop, you can also synchronize the references that are in your library between other computers as well. I can't show you this today because it's already set up on my computer, but there is instructions available in our guides.
Ros, we just have a question here about creating a shared EndNote.
So you can, so if you want to share your library with someone else, there's a few different options that you can use that for. So you can share a whole library, which depends what you're doing. You probably don't want to share your whole library necessarily, but you can also share groups. So if you want to share a group of references with other people, you'd need an EndNote Online account, and the people that you're sharing with also need an EndNote Online account, but then you can actually share those. Just under that in the from that one, just in that digital skills section in the uni skills, you've got the EndNote Essentials guide, you've got the extras, and then there's an online. The EndNote Online ones shows you how to share a group with others. Okay, so that is sort of saving your documents, syncing your library if you want to. If you do run into any issues with EndNote, they do happen. We have a troubleshoot issues page in our guide. We recommend, usually in the first instance, if you're getting an error message, just Google it. Say, I'm on a Windows PC and I'm getting this message, what do I do? There's a lot of help out there. And if you sort of come to us, we usually do that. So we would start with just Googling it. Usually somebody else has had the same issue and will have instructions on how to fix it. Also, just make sure that you are keeping up to date. If any software updates come through, so when you open your EndNote, you might get a message coming up saying there's an update available. Try and install that if you can, because that will help with fixing bugs and stuff. Also, make sure that you restart your computer every now and then, because that will allow sort of system-wide updates to be applied and may fix issues that you're having with EndNote and Word as well. There's also an EndNote support website. This is a comprehensive knowledge base, a lot of FAQs on common things that happen with EndNote. For example, I mentioned sometimes the toolbar in Word isn't installed or it goes missing or something like that. So it's called the Cite While You Write, or CWYW, and there's instructions there on how to get it installed or how to restore it if it's gone missing. Okay, and you can just, there's separate instructions for Windows and Mac. And there's a lot of other information available there. You can also get in contact with Clarivate, so that's the company that owns EndNote, just through their support site here. If you're having particularly a technical issue, they're very quick and very helpful if you need any sort of troubleshooting around that. If you are having issues with downloading the software, it's best to get in contact with the library rather than EndNote, because they probably will send you to us. So you can, if you're having trouble downloading or installing the software, you come to us, but everything else, yeah, the EndNote support site is a really great resource. Back in our guide, we also have some common issues with EndNote. So these are things that we get asked about quite a bit, and you can see there's a whole range of things here and how to sort of fix them if they do happen for you. And there's specific instructions on downloading and installing that can be helpful for you. Lastly, I'm just going back to the library website. If you do have, if you do need any help, something's going wrong, you need help with downloading or anything like that, you can get in contact with the library. So if you go to our help link, you'll get the options available to you here. you can just do the I'm a Curtin student and fill in the form, or you can email libraryhelp@curtin.edu.au. If you've got a particular issue with your EndNote, please include when you contact us if you're getting any error messages or screenshots of what is happening. Don't just say, I've got an issue with EndNote. We do get that occasionally, and we can't help you unless we have details of what's going on. Also, if you can tell us if you have a Windows or a Mac, that's really helpful, and will make it a bit easier for us to try and troubleshoot the information. Okay, so that is all that I have to show you for today. I hope it's been a useful session. I noticed there was a lot of questions going on in the chat, so that's great. But if you have any questions that weren't answered, please do get in contact with the libraryhelp@curtin.edu.au email. Cool. Thanks.